I'm Lynn Tarno, and I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator at International Women's House. International Women's House is an emergency shelter for victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, and human trafficking. Our primary focus is on refugee and immigrant women and children who face significant barriers to traditional assistance, such as language, social and cultural barriers, as well as fear of authority. We have been providing these services in the metropolitan Atlanta area for 23 years. Since our inception in 1997, we have provided services to over 15,000 refugees and immigrants in both residential and outreach settings. International Women's House provides crisis and transitional housing, outreach services, a 24-hour crisis line, multilingual staff, advocacy and support services, necessary tangibles such as clothing and toiletries, and most importantly, a road to self-sufficiency and violence-free living.
Hi, I'm Karla Diaz, the Victims of Violence attorney at the Georgia Asylum and Immigration Network, also known as GAIN. GAIN is a nonprofit organization located in downtown Atlanta, Georgia, that provides free immigration legal services to victims of crime and persecution. GAIN operates on a dual representation model, combining direct representation with pro bono referrals to trained volunteers in the legal community. In the Victims of Violence program, victims of human trafficking, domestic violence, sexual assault, and other violent crimes are screened for the possibility of obtaining immigration status due to their victimization in the United States. According to the UNHCR, there are over 70 million people who are forcibly removed from their homes, which means there are millions of people who have been forced to leave their homes, their families, and the only life they've ever known. In the Victims of Violence program at GAIN, we are helping men, women, and children who arrive in the United States but who then fall victim to a crime here. Immigrant victims of domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault are afforded not only the usual protections of any other victim of that crime, but can additionally apply for certain visas and immigration benefits that will allow them to obtain proper work authorization and the potential for permanent legal status here in the United States. However, at least for certain immigration petitions, the victims are required to at least report their victimization and or not refuse reasonable requests from law enforcement to cooperate with an investigation or prosecution of their case. In addition to the typical barriers of accessing services for crime victims, such as fear of repercussion from abusers, living in rural areas, lack of access to shelters, or financial resources, immigrant victims face additional barriers, including language barriers, fear of deportation, distrust of the criminal justice system, inability to access benefits due solely to their immigration status, so inability to have lawful employment or access to financial resources or health care provided by the state. Georgia nonprofits serving this immigrant population have strived to form the necessary partnerships to make and facilitate referrals, from victim advocates at police departments and prosecutors' offices to domestic violence shelters and legal aid organizations. At GAIN in particular, we are constantly looking for ways to make new connections and maintain relationships with agencies and organizations to make referrals easier and to provide a holistic approach to the victims in need of a variety of services. For example, we can have a client refer to us who is already receiving assistance with a divorce or child custody proceeding, refer to us for immigration services, who we then refer out for mental health counseling or housing needs. This is determined on a case-by-case basis, but in general, our clients may have to wait anywhere from 5 months to 5 or more years to receive an immigration benefit, depending on the type of petition they submit. For some clients, this unfortunately means that they will have to wait at least 5 years until they are able to receive a work permit, which can then allow them to get a driver's license or a state ID. Again, depending on the type of petition they submit, some clients are eligible to receive a work permit while their application is pending in as little as 5 months, while others will have to wait around 5 years for that. Victims of human trafficking can receive additional financial and medical services if they are cooperating with law enforcement in the prosecution of or investigation of their trafficking case. VAWA applicants who are victims of domestic violence at the hands of a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident are also eligible to apply for certain state benefits once they can establish the basic requirements of their petition. All of the applications, T visas, VAWAs, eventually lead to a pathway for citizenship. Once an application is approved, and if they meet the requirements in the future, they're eligible for legal permanent residency and later on for citizenship. Question 7. COVID-19 may make it more difficult for individuals to escape situations of domestic violence or human trafficking now that everyone is staying home more often. Additionally, most immigrant victims with no legal status are not eligible to receive government assistance for help with the loss of their employment or for potential health issues. COVID-19 has also caused delays and postponements of interviews with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, which is the agency primarily responsible for approving these immigrant petitions. GAIN has continued to work for and advocate on behalf of our clients, despite the current situation and additional barriers brought about by COVID-19. Thank you.